I just want to shout out, depending on which news outlet you read, they'll choose selectively which person he claimed to have been listening to. And timpool and James Lindsay. And I am offended by this because, as Phil pointed out, the demanding Joe Biden pardon the Democrats.
Yeah, that's all Ian.
That's all Ian. Ian, what are you doing? You get me in trouble over here.
As soon as I heard this, I was like, he didn't pay attention to anything Tim said. That's all Ian Crossland did.
Famous far-right commenter Ian Crossland.
The same thing happened to me, though. They gave one of my quotes to Ian. They get all of his quotes screwed up.
Yeah, who was it? Media Matters, who claimed that your quote was Ian?
I think it was Gawker, and I was talking about how horribly destructive no-fault divorce is, and they said Ian Crossland said it. It's like that's not. That was like clearly something I would say, and they're like Ian Crossland said it.
But they don't watch the show enough, right? They don't know who any of you guys are.
So this is a guy who committed a horrible attack, on Paul Pelosi. These things shouldn't happen. They need better security. And they're claiming, he was watching, my show or whatever. And I saw this story and I thought it was funny. Media Matters quoted me the last time when the guy in Texas posted 4 clips from IRL. And the quote is, Timpool says, "I think it's funny and I just don't care," or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, look, there will not be a single person who can ever get me to care that some dude who did some bad thing watched my show. We get millions upon millions. That's insane. The idea that James, first of all, I want to shout out conservative commentator James Lindsay. Which is laughable.
What's up, Jim?
What's up, Jim? Yeah, and but one thing I really love about Ian Crossland, who's not here unfortunately tonight, the thing that's great about him is he's a weird guy. He doesn't fit in any political box. His opinions are wild. He's for the death penalty. He's like very much for it. We had this big conversation where he was like, "Woody, we got to got to have the death penalty for these people." And I'm like, "Whoa!" But then he's like, "But we got to pardon all Hillary Clinton." And I'm just like, he's kind of wild. But he helps break the machine, because when Gawker takes a quote from Seamus and applies it to Ian, or when Hassan Piker claims Ian is a conservative, it shows you that their arguments are meaningless, completely empty.
I don't think we should take this at face value. Julie, of course, has been following the January 6th trials, and Julie, that there are many cases where, at the coaching of attorneys, the guy who had one motive is coached into a different storyline that is made palatable for the media, palatable for the jury, palatable for the judge to show compassion. So what I see here is a leftist who has now realized that moving right and claiming to be under the right-wing spell will suddenly get him a lot of sympathetic attention.
Lower sentencing.
The conservatives drove him crazy.
Well, and this guy is an illegal immigrant from Canada who voted for the Green Party.
This is why they had to construct the narrative, and that's why they needed a migration, because they know he started left. So they had to account for that.
It probably still is.
And probably still is.
This proves it. It's just one big conspiracy against me. I'm the victim here.
You are the center of the universe, Timpool.
I'm the victim because I'm the
last paragraph there talking about Gail Rubin. At the very end, it says, talking about particularly on pedophilia and sexual relationships have been misconstrued. Nothing that Gail Rubin, that James Lindsay has said about Gail Rubin's writings, none of it has been misconstrued. It is all word for word stuff that she has written in her books.
And let me drive it home. I don't know about where this guy gets his ideas or anything like that. I will say it's certainly not a Timpool idea to pardon corrupt politicians. But they bring up Gail Rubin in this. Why? She has nothing to do with the Pelosi's. This man going to the Pelosi's house and wanting to attack or harm Pelosi has nothing to do with James Lindsay or Gail Rubin. It does seem like what you said, Dinesh, that, hey, look, I bet his defense attorneys said, here's what you're going to do. Sure. You're in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. This is the jury. You got to claim it's the right wing that radicalized you. Attack James Lindsay, Glenn Beck, Timpool, and there's a few others they mentioned.